Okay, so I'm going to start with sanding. I just have a palm sander here. This is about a 200 grit sandpaper. It's very fine. It's just to take a little bit of this roughness off the edge here. So I'm just going to sand these two and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm going to make this super quick because it is very cold here in southeastern Pennsylvania. It's probably about 15 degrees right now. And I don't have a heater out here, so we're going to do this quick. I will say that the weather does have an impact, so if your garage is not heated or air conditioned, the weather does have an impact on how quickly or slowly your stain is going to dry. So again, I'm going to use a oil-based Minwax stain. This is my favorite color, espresso. You can mix colors. So if it's a little too brown and you want it to have more of a chalky gray, you can mix gray, you can mix, you know, any colors that you want. Just know that I would not suggest mixing oil-based stains and water-based stains because, well, we all know what happens with oil and water. So if you decide to mix your stains, then go right ahead. I'm just going to use it straight from the can. And again, since it's so cold here, it usually takes 6 hours to dry. It'll probably take throughout the night to dry because it's cold out here. I am not a believer in water popping. I just go right from the can to the board. I feel like there's enough moisture in the stain that it'll open up the pores enough, and if you want a darker or more rich stain, just go back when it dries and do a second coat. So I'm just going to take my rag and dip it in, and I'm just going to go along the wood grain all the way across. I don't use foam brushes, paint brushes, sprayers, any of that stuff because I feel like it's just a total waste of the actual stain. And as soon as I put that on there, I'm going to wipe it off because it is cold out here. And I don't want to leave this on too long because I feel like it might coat a little more heavily than I would want it to. So I'm just going to go one side at a time. Edges real good. I will say that when I do this, especially when I'm going long ways on this board, some people will do little portions and then they'll move along and do little portions. I do the full length of the board. And the reason I do that is because sometimes when your stain overlaps from doing small little sections, you'll get dark spots and it just won't look as finished, I guess you could say. I just don't like the way that looks. I just feel like it looks kind of haphazardly thrown on there. I'm just going to rub this in. There's my first one. The edges where you made your cuts are going to absorb differently than the rest of the board. It'll be darker and more porous, so if you don't like it looking so dark, once it's dry you can go back and sand that. It's not a big deal. So again, dip it in the can. Like I said before, make sure you're wearing your gloves because this stain is no joke. I just feel like I have more control with this rag rather than using a brush because then you have bleeding down the sides of your board here. So if you're putting this on with a paintbrush, a lot of times it'll drip over the edge and those drips will be visible once you wipe the stain off. And I just don't, like I said, I like a more polished, finished look, especially since a lot of my signs are given as gifts, wedding gifts, baby showers, all that stuff. So I'm gonna make sure that it's the best quality that people expect. See that? Quick and easy. So there's my 2 boards.